Okay. So that's one thing that I wanted to provide an update. But the second update about the spiffy document, right? Like the spiffy document, it's a work in progress. But I'm pretty sure I'll be able to finish it by this week, which means next week it will be ready. It's almost 70% ready, but I don't want to, maybe right now send it. Send it by the end of this week or early next week before our
Mm.
call. So that's an action item. Prashant, any updates from your side?
Yeah, I was implementing like last time I told that I was implementing vault policies using kubectl,
Hmm.
using custom resource. So I did implement that. I'm setting up the demo. I'm checking if I can show it right now. So give me like 5 minutes.
Sure, sure. So vault policies as CRDs, right? Like as CRDs, correct?
Yeah, that is how I'm planning it.
Is this you, Prashant? This
I'm not sure. I
okay.
guess you can.
I've been tagging him for because
Mhm.
earlier I used to see your full name. Now I don't.
Yeah.
Okay. Is using here CRDs for vault policies. Is once this works, then basically automation of it, right? Like automation of the vault policies. So basically, as part of the workload, if someone includes a workload as part of the package variant, then they have to specify these policies as well, right? Like anyone needs access to the vault, then they have to specify these policies as part of the workload specification. Correct?
Yeah. So we define a policy,
Mm,
uh, read, write, create, whatever.
mm,
Then we attach that policy to a spiffy ID.
mm,
So this spiffy ID can only read or write, for example. So
mm.
that kind of flow.
Got it. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we are basically going into secrets management right now.
Yeah.
Okay. What else do we have for discussion? Um, Maybe I can take a quick stab at explaining what the document is about that I was working on. So basically the aim is to actually show this SPIFFE identity as a common glue for large scale telco deployments. This basically covers all the rationale. So the first thing is the background for doing this work. Where I've tried to explain why did we start on this particular action item. Gave some telco deployment background as to why identity layer might be required. The point is that you might have multiple services connecting to each other. You need to have an authorization policy or authorization uh, strategy in place, and to have an authorization strategy in place you need to have an identity layer in place. So that's basically the aim. The ORAN context is also explained here with some examples. There's some differentiation given in the context of workload identity versus user identity. There is also a notion that is usually brought up, token based access. So you can configure inter-service communication using token based access. How is it different? How is the identity based access different from a token based identity? That is explained here. Once this is done, why Nephio needs an identity layer. So this is where uh, I've tried to bring in the requirements that we have been discussing for the past 6 months about sharing resources between management and regional and edge clusters, secrets management use case, the observability and monitoring for Nephio subsystems, the ORAN FOCOM IMS interaction, the inter-NF network function communication across multiple clusters, and finally enabling zero trust deployment, right? Like these are the different reasons why Nephio needs this identity layer and authorization strategy in place. Then the next point is why isn't Kubernetes native identity good enough? Basically, it's one reason, right? Like Kubernetes native identity is bound to a specific cluster. That's the fundamental
Mm.
problem here. Then we have why SPIFFE. Why not any other identity layer? Why SPIFFE in the context? SPIFFE 101, trying to explain what SPIFFE is, SPIFFE basic operation phases. Then
Mm.
the high level SPIFFE design for nephew. This is where our SPIFFE ID format are some of the documents that Prashant you have prepared. I'm going to make use of those. Uh, and the federation part also has to be explained. The federation part, as in the future, if you have to actually deal with the federation, what happens if there are multiple CSPs in the context of FOCOM, right? Like already there are. This is the model with FOCOM. You have FOCOM is a client for IMS, and you can have multiple infrastructure management services across multiple providers. So this could be Red Hat, this could be the AWS, for example. In which case, we'll have to do for identity federation for sure. So that use case exists, even though we are not doing it in the first version. So that part will be explained as part of this particular section. ORAN
Mm.
FOCOM IMS authorization use case and a little bit more detail. Plan for SPIFFE integration in Nephew, some tentative plans for R4 and maybe something for R5 as well. R3 what we
Mm.
achieved, R4 and R5. Deployment or implementation specific prerequisite. Is there any change required in the existing apps? How does SPIFFE works with other providers? SWID, should we use X509 or JOT? Things like that would be mentioned. That's it.
Mm.
That's the plan. Is there any specific topic that is missing in this list? I can share now. This should be shareable. Can
Yeah,
you?
can you share? Can you
Yeah,
share the thing
yeah,
for me
yeah.
to take a
I'll
look
go
at?
here. Yeah.
The
Uh, yeah.
HackMD is the official markup for Nephew, the
No, it's
document.
not. No, no, it's just a markup. My
Understand,
intention
understand.
is that the reason why I'm using Markdown is and not a Google document is so that if you have to transfer the document to Nephew documentation at some point in time, we should be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
Okay,
yeah.
okay,
Can you check if the
okay.
link is accessible? You should be able
Yeah,
to
yeah,
reduce the
it
link.
is.
I'm
It is.
checking now. I'm
Okay,
checking
okay,
now.
It's
Yeah, yeah,
opening
it's
now.
okay. It's good.
fantastic, fantastic. Okay,
It's good.
super. Okay, that's pretty much it. The aim is to actually give folks an understanding of what we are trying to build as part of our identity and why we are building it in the first place, right? Like people are going to ask
Mm-hmm.
questions and we'll have to have some reference to redirect them towards. And I didn't see any context. I was hoping someone from ORAN, because there have been some discussion about workload identity using SPIFFE in the context of ORAN, but I couldn't see any document or any reference there.
Working Group 11, they have it.
But it's not open, right? It's not available in the public domain.
Yeah, maybe not because
Yeah. Yeah,
I
last
got it
time,
through.
last time I got
I'm
in
not
call
sure.
with some folks, they told me to be part of ORAN SC working group. And then when I checked, apparently it requires you to pay your organization to pay some annual amount. And it's quite a big amount actually. Yeah.
Mm,
So we had to back off. Yeah.
okay, I'm not sure it's public. Yeah, I'll take a look at what's the the
Yeah.
limitation. Yeah, but
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
okay,
Now, if you have access to both the documentation, you can check if we need to include any points in there.
okay, will do, will
Yeah,
do.
fantastic. Thank you.
Okay.
Prashant, are you set?
Yeah, yeah, I'm sharing my screen.
Go ahead, please.
Is my screen visible?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay. So I made this controller outside of Nephew operator, which what it does is it checks for a custom resource that I made for this purpose only. So this is how it is formatted. We have role type, user claim, bound audience, and bound subject. This is the SPIFFE ID, and this is the policy that is
Mm.
defined. Okay, and then
Hey, so Prashant, you have written your own controller for this? Like this is wall.example.com, the API
yeah,
version, which means that this is your own sample. You have created the CRD yourself, right?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
this.
I created it
Okay, interesting.
because I could not find anything that had the format that I want, like world policy. I guess there was some, but they were for like Kubernetes. Like when we deploy Vault with Kubernetes, right? They
Mhm.
had it for that, but here Vault is deployed as a service outside of Kubernetes. So
Mhm.
for that, uh, I could not find any CRD.
No, but then Prashant, this becomes a parallel effort. this cannot be part of Nephew. Like this is a generic solution on top of Vault. Correct. This
Ye-
has to be a project in itself, and Nephew simply integrates with it. That's the model that I see. We cannot have this natively as part of Nephew project.
Yeah, yeah, we can't. Which is
Yeah.
why I did try to make it, but like there was some problem there. But yeah, I was also thinking whether we should make it part of Nephew project or uh,
No,
as
it
a
has to be a generic project somewhere outside of, it can be part of Nephio because it originated because of the problem statement that we saw here, but then it cannot be part of, Nephio project or Nephio mainline repo itself, main repo itself. It has to be a separate project which is reused here. That's one. And the second part is we definitely have to talk to someone else about this problem statement because I think we are assuming thing that this is the way to go about, Prashant. Like, it would be very much surprising for me if something like this doesn't already exist, or our rationale is correct in thinking about it. That's what I'm worried about.
yeah, we could ask. I'm not sure who to ask like about
Mhm.
if Vault does exist, something similar to this. But basically,
I
we need something that we can package with KPT and do the
Yeah,
automation, right?
yeah, yeah. Okay. I think I need to search because the problem statement is clear. So basically, what you're saying is if you have to handle the automation, and then it has to be a Kubernetes native resource, all the Vault
Yeah,
related policies. And if it has and the Kubernetes native resources are not supported by Vault today, and there exists no other project which does it, essentially, that's a
Mm,
big problem
mm.
statement that you're saying.
yeah. So I found this call configure from Red Hat,
Hmm.
but all of its tutorials and testing, they assume that you have Vault as a Kubernetes deployment.
Which is okay. Yeah, I mean that's the point, right? Like it's going to be a Kubernetes deployment in at least our example, which is going to be part. The Vault is going to be part of the management cluster
So
and
you
part of the
because
Kubernetes. Hmm.
the it's not part of right now. I made it as a separate service. Do we want it as a Kubernetes?
Yes, yes, yes. Because if it is a separate service, how to deploy it? It cannot be deployed, right? Like
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
yeah. Yeah, so maybe that is something that we can do in the next this thing, right? Because if we can deploy Vault in the same cluster, in the same management cluster, then we should be able to handle the Vault policies natively, right? Like using the existing
Yeah, yeah.
resources.
So this has everything that we need.
Okay, exactly, exactly. That's the point. Yeah, that's the
Okay,
point.
good. Sounds good.
Yeah,
Yeah. So if I can set up Vault on Kubernetes and show it, but
yeah. And this repositories that you're showing has got nothing to do with OCP, right? Like it works equally well on other Kubernetes flavors.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like they have examples on OC, but
I
if
see.
I tried to deploy the operator and all that on a normal kind cluster, and it worked,
Great.
except just replacing OC commands with kubectl, but that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Usually all the Red Hat projects are cool. I mean, you see that they've given Apache 2 license. That's good. Can you go above and show the when was the last commit and contributors? Or
Last month.
it's not too many contributors or too many commits, right? Like it seems to be very early stage project. But then if the task is only to create an operator for vault configuration, then it's not a yeah. It should be okay. Yeah. Okay. That's great. Then, Prashant, this is something that we can integrate with. Then we don't have
Mm.
to reinvent the wheel, right?
Okay, then we don't deploy Vault separately. We deploy it with
As part
management
of
cluster.
management. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, and then I'll try to implement this. Okay, got it. That works too. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the workload cluster, they access the Vault in the management cluster.
Yeah.
Yes,
So we'll
that's right.
expose
Correct.
the IP. Yeah.
I
Okay.
mean, we'll expose the vault, not the IP. Basically, is a domain. All that will be part of the configuration, just like for UI, right? Like, but anyways,
Mm.
that's not that's a DevOps concern. That's
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's
okay.
the kind of a reference, configuration, right?
Yes,
We
yes, yes.
provide, and then operator, they have their own Vault outside, then that's fine
Correct,
too.
correct, correct.
Also Kubernetes too. So,
Yes.
okay.
Okay, very nice. Okay, thank you for clarifying this, Prashant. I guess we look forward to the next call then.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So
Thank you,
I take a
folks.
look at your documentation for Speedway. Okay. Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Okay.
folks. Have a
Okay.
good day.
Bye bye.
Bye bye.